Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel RMG Pattern Making 60. I am going to take you what is pattern making. Nearly every garment that is made today is corrected by pricing pieces of fabric together. These individual process of fabric are usually cut out with the help of a pattern. Apparel patterns or garments patterns are shapes that are cut out before a garment is made, and one pattern can often be used to make several garments. Pattern can be cut out of several different material including fabric and plastic, but a thin paper known as a pattern paper is typically the most common type of material. This purpose of a pattern is simple. When creating several of pattern of the same type of garments, the pieces used to make the clothing should be uniform size and shape from one garment to the next in order to prevent unusually shaped or sized garments. Tracing around or cutting around pattern pieces for each of the different sections of a garment helps ensure this uniformity. What is a pattern maker? An individual who creates apparel pattern is often referred to as a pattern maker. These professionals are typically responsible for designs and recreating the different patterns used to make different types of garments. What does a pattern maker do? A pattern maker career generally involves working deep in the fashion industry. They may work to design and create patterns for unique pieces of clothing for mass production. For instance, or they may work closely with design in order to create custom patterns. Before creating a pattern maker must first have a good idea or image of what type of pattern need to be made. In some case, pattern maker must come up with these design ideas and sketch themselves. On the other hand, pattern makers might also be required to look at a sketch or picture of a creating garments and create a pattern from that. In order to create a good pattern, a pattern maker must first decide what size the garments will be. This can often be done by basing a new pattern on an existing pattern that is available in several different sizes. Some pattern makers are spreadable and match wishes, however, and they may be able to create a pattern simple by getting the measurements of the people's bodies. These measurements are then used to create a pattern to make a perfectly sized garment. Draping is another relatively common method of creating a garment's pattern. To use this method, cloth and different over a dress from or mannequin and may printed in flesh. This fabric is then marked where the seams will be, and it is then laid out into patterns paper. The make made on the different fabric can then be traced onto the patterns paper to create patterns pieces. Conceptualizes measuring, drawing and cutting out the pieces of a pattern. However, is not usually the end of a pattern maker. Pattern maker's jobs. The majority of pattern makers, for instance, will also usually help decide which type and color of fabric should be used to make the garments as a whole. Once a pattern maker is complete, the majority of pattern makers will then sew together a test garments. Making these garments helps ensure that a pattern is useful and accurate. In some cases, a garments may not go together correctly, and a pattern maker may need to adjust these pieces of the patterns. What type of skill and education is necessary for a pattern making career? Due to the excessive use of measurements and geometric shape and aspiring pattern maker should be a skilled mathematics, drawing and fashion design skills are also helpful as they are sewing skills. Individuals interested to pursue a career in pattern making will usually need to attend an art institute of fashion design school in order to earn a degree in pattern making of fashion design. Some traditional universities may also offer the necessary course needed to pursue a career in pattern making. Students interested in this area will usually need to take class in drawing, CAD, anatomy, textile and math, as well as a fashion design.